Hey, welcome! Every part of our lives has its own little language, from those big traditions we do every year to the small ways we take care of ourselves. So today, we're going to dive into the specific words and phrases we use for some of life's most common rituals. Let's get right into it.
So here's the plan. We'll kick things off with that big promise we all make to ourselves at the start of the year. Then we'll get into the holiday spirit with some decorating. After that, we'll look at a little self-care ritual, and we'll wrap things up by checking into a hotel to learn some key travel language.
All right, first up, the New Year's resolution. You know the one. That yearly tradition of setting goals for ourselves that, let's be real, can be seriously tough to stick with.
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? What's the point? I mean, if so many of us don't follow through, why do we even bother making them in the first place? It's a totally fair question, and it gets right to the heart of this whole tradition.
Well, at its core, a resolution is really all about getting a fresh start. It's this promise you make to yourself for the year ahead. The whole idea is that January 1st is like a clean slate, a perfect opportunity to make a positive change in your life.
But here's the reality for a lot of us, right? We start off super motivated, but then, life happens. This quote just nails that experience, how all that excitement can kind of fade by February. It really shows the huge difference between deciding to do something and actually seeing it through.
And this is where some key vocabulary comes in. To resolve, to do something, that's the easy part. That's making the firm decision. But to stick to it, that's the real challenge. That means you keep going, you don't give up, even when it gets hard. One is just a moment, the other is all about endurance.
And this phrase, it's just such a perfect picture of what happens when we don't stick to our goals. Gathering dust, you can literally see it, can't you? It means something is just sitting there, completely unused. It's a painful but perfect metaphor for a forgotten resolution.
Okay, so from a ritual of self-improvement, let's switch gears to a ritual that's all about celebration. We're decking the halls for the holidays, and we're going to focus on one of the biggest traditions of all, setting up the Christmas tree.
The whole thing is a ritual with its own little steps. First, you gotta get the tree. Then comes that all-important moment of truth. Will it actually fit in the living room? Once it's up, you get to decorate it with ornaments, and finally, you hang the stockings to get everything ready.
So let's quickly break down the lingo for these decorations. Ornaments are all the things you hang right on the tree. The shiny balls, angels, maybe some handmade stuff. Stockings, on the other hand, are those big decorative socks that you hang up, hoping they'll get filled with little gifts.
And where do the stockings usually go? Well, traditionally, right on the fireplace mantle, just below the chimney. Now, chimney's job is to let smoke out of the house, but in holiday stories, it has a way more magical purpose. It's the special entrance for Santa Claus.
All right, we've done a big yearly tradition, so now let's get a bit more personal with a ritual that can happen a lot more often. The art of self-care, and specifically, getting a perfect manicure.
So what is a manicure exactly? Well, it's a cosmetic treatment you get at a nail salon, and it's all about your fingernails and hands. It's more than just putting on some color, it's really about taking care of your hands.
And it's super important to know the difference here, because people mix these up all the time. A manicure is for your hands. A pedicure is the same idea, but for your feet and your toenails. Simple as that.
So when you go, the manicurist does a few key things. They'll file your nails, which just means shaping them and making them smooth. They also take care of your cuticles. That's the little bit of skin right around the base of your nail. And then, of course, they apply the nail polish.
So why do people do this? This quote really says it all. It's a way to pamper yourself. And to pamper someone just means to treat them really, really well, to indulge a little bit. It's a small luxury, a moment just for you.
Now, during that final step, the manicurist applies the polish. But how many times do they do it? Well, typically, it's 4. But 4 times what exactly?
4 coats of nail polish. In this case, a coat is just a layer. So they put on one layer, let it dry, then put on another. Every coat you add makes the color deeper, richer, and helps it last longer. It's the same word you'd use for painting a wall in your house.
All right, for our last one, let's go from the planned self-care of a manicure to a ritual that can sometimes bring a little bit of, unplanned chaos, travel. Or checking into a hotel, where things don't always go exactly as you expect.
Okay, this right here, this is the magic phrase. The second you walk up to the front desk, this is how you start. Saying your reservation is under the name just tells them who you are so they can pull up your booking.
But sometimes there's a problem, a mix-up. It's a great word for any kind of mistake that just causes a bunch of confusion.
In this situation, it means the hotel can't seem to find your reservation.
And what's often the reason for that mix-up? The hotel is overbooked. This is when they've actually sold more rooms than they have. Hotels and airlines do this all the time, basically betting that some people won't show up. But when everybody does, you've got a problem.
But you know what? That problem can sometimes lead to an amazing solution for you, a complimentary upgrade. Complimentary just means it's free, and an upgrade means you get something way better than what you paid for. In this case, a much nicer room, probably because it's the only one they have left.
And this is the dream scenario. You go from a mix-up with a standard room all the way to the presidential suite. It just goes to show you that knowing the language of these everyday rituals can sometimes lead to a pretty fantastic surprise. So, what other parts of our daily language do you think we should look at next?